plan. There will be days when your dreams don't excite you. Days when the sunrise feels like a burden, not a blessing. Plan. When every bone in your body aches to stay under the blanket of excuses and motivation, nowhere to be found. Plan. But in those exact moments, when inspiration has packed its bags and left, something stronger must take its place. Discipline. Plan. Discipline is the quiet warrior. It doesn't need applause. Plan. It doesn't wait for the perfect mood. It simply shows up again and again without needing a reason to. Plan. Because motivation is a spark, but discipline is the fire that stays. Motivation depends on how you feel. Plan. Discipline depends on who you've decided to become. You can't build your dreams around your feelings. Plan. Because feelings are fragile. They change with weather, with mood, with moments. But discipline, it anchors you. Plan. It reminds you that your purpose is bigger than your pain. You're not supposed to feel like it every day. Plan. But you are supposed to fight for it anyway. Not for the world, not for validation. Plan. But for the future version of you, the one who's waiting to thank you. And so, the next time you wake up uninspired, plan. Don't ask yourself how you feel. Ask yourself who you are, and let that answer carry you forward, not with noise. Plan. But with consistency, with quiet courage, with discipline. Plan. There is something deeply human about craving motivation. That electric feeling of possibility. Plan. That surge of belief that today could be different. And on some days it arrives like a gentle sunrise, wrapping you in hope. Plan. But what about the days it doesn't come? What about the mornings where the world feels gray and your heart feels numb? Plan. That's where most people stop. They wait for the feeling to return, not realizing that in doing so, plan, they are also placing their future on pause. Because motivation is fleeting, it's seasonal. It visits, but it doesn't stay. Plan. You cannot build a lifelong dream on a temporary emotion. Discipline, however, doesn't ask how you feel. Plan. It doesn't knock politely or wait for a good mood. It is the quiet, plan, unwavering choice to show up again and again, with or without applause, with or without inspiration. Plan. Discipline is not about force, it's about alignment. Plan. It's about deciding that your actions will no longer be tied to your emotions, but to your vision. Plan. You don't brush your teeth because you're inspired. You do it because it's necessary. In the same way, plan. Discipline anchors your dreams in action, not in mood. When you begin living with discipline, something powerful happens inside you. Plan. You start to shift from being someone who wishes to someone who works. You start trusting yourself in a new way. Plan. You no longer wait for passion, you bring it with you. Every time you show up when you don't feel like it, plan. You're writing a new story about yourself, one where you are consistent, capable, and committed. Plan. Motivation might push you forward for a day, but discipline teaches your feet how to keep moving when your heart forgets why. Plan. In the end, who you are becoming is not determined by your most inspired moments. It's built in the silence. In those small, plan, unglamorous decisions to try again, to get up anyway, to keep your promise to yourself without needing a spark. Plan. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you want to be. And once you start walking it step by step, plan, you begin to realize you don't need to wait for motivation. You've already become the reason you move. Plan. Discipline is not loud. It does not shout your name in front of crowds. It does not seek attention. It is the silent plan, sacred promise you whisper to yourself when no one else is watching. Every morning when you choose to get up, plan. Not because you feel like it, but because your future matters. That's discipline. Plan. It's the quiet, yes, you give to the life you dream of, even when your present feels heavy. When you rise early, plan. When you commit to the routine, when you push through discomfort, plan. You're not just acting out of habit. You're building a bridge to the version of you who's waiting on the other side of your excuses, plan. That future version of you, the one who's fulfilled, grounded, and proud, doesn't just appear one day, plan. She is created moment by moment through the choices you make in silence, plan. Through the workouts you show up for when your body says no. Through the words you write when your mind feels blank, plan. Through the hours of work you give when your heart wants rest, plan. Discipline is the currency you pay today to buy the freedom and confidence your future self will live in. It's not glamorous, plan. It's not always visible, but it's always worth it. Most people think success is made of talent, timing, or luck, plan, but it's actually stitched together by discipline. The smallest threads of consistency repeated daily, plan. And here's what most people miss: discipline is deeply loving. It's not punishment, it's protection, plan. You're protecting your dream from the version of you that wants to quit, plan. You're protecting your progress from the mood swings and distractions that try to delay your destiny. When you choose discipline, plan, you are choosing to not betray the future you deserve, plan. Imagine meeting the future you one day, and she looks you in the eyes and says, "Thank you, plan. Thank you for not giving up on me." That's what discipline does. It gives your future a voice and your present a mission, plan. It lets you live today as if tomorrow already matters. Because it does, and whether you realize it or not, plan. Every decision you make to rise or retreat is a conversation between who you are and who you're becoming. Comfort is deceptive, plan. It doesn't come as a warning. It doesn't announce that it's here to steal your potential. No. Comfort arrives gently, plan. It wraps you in warmth. It tells you, plan. Rest a little more. Or you've already done enough. It speaks in a tone that feels like kindness, but carries the weight of delay, plan. And the most dangerous thing about comfort is that it doesn't break you. It slowly softens you, plan. So gradually that you don't even notice the edge in you dulling. You begin to settle, plan. Not because you've achieved everything you dreamed of, plan, but because you've started believing that maybe dreaming at all is too exhausting, plan. Comfort doesn't just keep you where you are. It convinces you that where you are is good enough, that your current situation, plan, though unfulfilling, is safer than the unknown. It feeds your fears with logic. It tells you the risk is too great, plan. The timing isn't right, the effort is too heavy. And before you know it, you're not just resting, you're hiding, plan. You're not just taking a break. You've begun to disappear from your own potential. And the worst part, plan. You start calling that stillness peace, when in reality, it's just avoidance dressed in soft blankets and familiar routines, plan. We don't talk enough about the emotional cost of staying comfortable. The regret that builds quietly, plan. The dreams that wither slowly. The inner voice that once roared, now reduced to a whisper, plan. There's a guilt that settles in your chest when you know you were meant for more, but you chose easy, plan. That guilt doesn't scream, it lingers. It follows you through the day, in the quiet moments, in the pauses between tasks, plan. Not because you failed, but because you didn't even try. And trying requires leaving comfort behind, plan. You were not built to stay the same. You were not created to spend your life within the walls of ease. Growth, purpose, plan, passion, they don't live in comfort. They live in the stretch, in the discomfort, plan, in the early mornings and late nights and quiet sacrifices no one sees. So the next time comfort calls you back into bed, plan, into silence, into settling, ask yourself, is this kindness or is this fear? Because sometimes, plan, the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to rise, to move, To begin again, even when staying feels so much easier. Plan. We spend so much of our lives waiting for the right moment, for the perfect sign, the ideal conditions, the feeling of certainty. Plan. We tell ourselves we'll start when we feel ready, but the truth is readiness is a myth. Plan. It's a comfort zone dressed in good intentions. If you wait until you feel completely ready, you'll wait forever. Plan. Because the real moments that shape your life rarely come with clarity. They come with courage. Not the kind that shouts, plan, but the kind that whispers, I'm scared, but I'll show up anyway. Being willing is far more powerful than being ready. Plan. Readiness waits for confidence. Willingness steps forward with doubt in its hands and faith in its heart. It says, I don't know everything, plan, but I'll try. And that one decision, to move without full assurance, creates the momentum that readiness never could. Plan. Most people who changed their lives didn't start because they were prepared. They started because something inside them said, plan, enough waiting. And they honored that voice before it disappeared under the weight of hesitation. Willingness is quiet. Plan. It doesn't glow like motivation or shout like inspiration. It sits inside you, asking only for one thing: action. Not perfection. Plan. Not certainty. Just one step. And often, the most transformational journeys begin not with a scream, but with a whisper. Plan. A whisper that says, what if I just try? That whisper may be small, but it is sacred, because it breaks through fear. Plan. It breaks through delay. It breaks through the belief that you must have everything figured out before you begin. Plan. And once you start, even if you start scared, something changes in you. You begin to build trust with yourself. Plan. You start to see that willingness creates its own kind of readiness. One that comes from action, not emotion. Plan. Every time you move forward without all the answers, plan. You prove to yourself that courage isn't about having no fear. It's about moving with it. And that movement, plan, no matter how shaky, begins to build strength. Not loud strength, quiet strength. Plan. The kind that changes everything. We often wait for the right mood to chase success. That spark of inspiration, plan, that magical surge of energy that makes everything feel possible. But if success truly depended on how we felt, plan, no one would ever reach it. Because let's be honest, most days we don't feel like pushing, plan. We don't feel like stretching beyond what's easy. The truth is, waiting for the mood is waiting to lose, plan, because moods come and go. They rise and fall like waves. But choices, real, plan, intentional choices, they build the foundation that doesn't shift with the wind. Choice is more powerful than feeling, plan, because when you choose discipline over delay, consistency over chaos, progress over perfection, you are declaring, plan, my life will not be ruled by how I feel. It will be led by what I value. That choice might be small in the moment, plan, waking up early, turning off distractions, finishing what you started. But repeated choices like these become habits, plan, and habits shape identity. And identity becomes destiny, plan. That's the quiet chain reaction that builds empires. One decision at a time, plan. No one wakes up every day ready to conquer the world. But the ones who do, they don't wait to feel good. They choose to do good, plan. They don't wait to be in the mood. They choose to move, plan. It's not that they're fearless. It's that they've trained themselves to rise above emotion and stand inside commitment, plan. And every time they choose movement over mood, they are building strength, clarity, and ownership. They are saying, plan, this is my life, and I won't leave it in the hands of my feelings. You don't need motivation to start. Plan, you need a decision. One quiet decision to rise, even when your body says, stay. One choice to begin, plan, even when your mind says, not now. These decisions, The ones you make when no one sees, when the lights are off, plan. When the applause is missing, these are the ones that shape who you become. Because success was never about how good you felt, plan. It was always about how willing you were to choose what matters, even when you didn't feel like it. We all carry a version of life we dream about when the world is quiet, plan. That life where we're fulfilled, strong, aligned, proud. But strangely, that life rarely sits in the tasks we enjoy, plan. It's tucked away almost always behind the things we run from. The tough conversations, the early alarms, the daily routines, plan. The uncomfortable truths. And so many of us keep searching for shortcuts, plan, hoping we can skip the hard parts and still end up in the place we dream of. But we can't, plan. Because the path to that life goes straight through the work we avoid. Avoidance feels safe, plan. It gives us relief in the moment. A few minutes of rest, a little more comfort, one less thing to face, plan. But what it quietly steals is our future. It doesn't just delay success. It dims our sense of self-worth. Because deep down, plan, we know that we're not doing what we said we would. Plan. We know that we're hiding from the very things that are meant to build us. And that quiet knowing turns into restlessness, plan, into frustration, into this feeling that something's missing, even when we don't know exactly what. When we avoid the work, plan, we also avoid the transformation that comes with it. Because the work isn't just about tasks. It's about becoming, plan. It's about facing resistance and choosing to show up anyway. That's how confidence is built, not in moments of ease, plan, but in the fire of follow-through. Every time you do the thing you've been avoiding, whether it's a difficult project, plan, a painful healing process, plan, or a long overdue change, you take one step closer to becoming the person you know you're capable of being. Plan. You don't need more motivation to get started. You need the honesty to stop running. Plan. The life you want doesn't live in inspiration quotes or big ideas. It lives in your action. It's hiding in your early mornings. Plan. Your focused hours, your willingness to be uncomfortable. Plan. It's tucked inside the habits you've delayed and the discipline you've convinced yourself you don't need. Plan. But it's there, waiting, not for the perfect plan, not for a lucky break, just for you to stop avoiding what matters most, plan, and finally decide this time I will not run. We often talk to our future selves with dreams, with intentions, plan, with promises whispered late at night. One day I'll be better. One day, plan, I'll build that life. But your future doesn't speak the language of promises. It speaks the language of discipline, plan, not the loud, glamorous kind, the quiet kind. The kind that shows up before the sun, keeps going when no one claps, plan, and chooses action even when emotion has vanished. That's what your future self listens for. Not your motivation, plan, but your consistency. Every time you show up, even when it's hard, plan, you are making an investment in a version of you that hasn't arrived yet. The disciplined moments, the early wake-ups, plan, the hard choices, the skip distractions, they don't always give instant results. And that's where most people stop, plan. But discipline isn't about what you see right now. It's about what you believe is coming. It's a statement of trust, plan. A declaration that your future is worth the sacrifice of comfort today. And that belief, when practiced daily, plan, becomes a force stronger than fear. Think about it. The people you admire, the life you want, plan. The character you hope to build, none of it is created in grand speeches or once in while efforts, plan. It's built in the repetition, in the doing, in the quiet choices that no one sees but your future feels, plan. Discipline is not a punishment, it is a form of self-respect. It says, plan. I love who I'm becoming too much to betray her with shortcuts. It may feel lonely, plan. But it's the most loyal thing you can do for yourself. And here's the truth: your future doesn't need perfection from you. Plan. It just needs your discipline. It needs you to keep showing up. Even when it's slow, even when it's quiet. Plan. Even when no one notices. Because every day you choose discipline, plan, you are writing the story of someone who didn't wait for life to change. You became the change. Plan. You earned the life you once prayed for, not through hope alone. Plan. But through the language of discipline, the only language your destiny truly understands. So when the world is quiet, plan. And no one is watching, what will you choose? Will you wait for motivation to knock? Plan. Or will you rise? Simply because you said you would. The truth is, you don't need to feel ready. Plan. You don't need to be inspired. You just need to remember who you promised to become. And then step by step, choose discipline. Not because it's easy, but because you're worth it. Plan. Let this be the moment where your excuses end and your evolution begins. Not with noise, not with applause, but with that one quiet plan, unseen act of courage. You woke up anyway, you showed up anyway. And one day, when your dreams finally meet you, they'll say, plan. We've been waiting for the disciplined version of you, and now you're ready.